exciting edition of Two Men in Black and White, an honest conversation. All right. Front and center, ladies and gentlemen, um, unprecedented, just skullduggery at the Capitol. Folks running interference for a pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein, and all his accomplices, all his cohorts in an international sex trafficking ring. And basically, what Donald Trump, the DOJ, MAGA Mike, is saying to you is that, hey, we've seen this stuff. And guess what? You can't. And oh, that's not going over well. Let's head up to the friendly confines of the upper Hudson River Valley. Brockett Ellis joins me now with a look at what's happening today on Capitol Hill and more. Brock, they've seen it and you can't. How do you feel about that?
Well, do they think we can't handle it?
That must be it. They must think we're children and we're not ready. And really chaps my ass that you feel like you need to be the arbiter of what I can and cannot see when it comes to, again, an international sex trafficking ring of major proportions that's being investigated by the DOJ and is all of a sudden shut down? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking okay? So who do we know whose name is being bandied about? Larry Summers, right? Former president at Harvard. Donald Trump. We've got a highly visible record executive. We've got
Oh, who's that? Who is that?
I don't know the name. All I
Oh,
know
okay.
is that it's
Okay.
a record company executive that we would know.
Okay.
Big name musicians. We've also got some finance GGs from the world of global business.
Well, huge
So,
names. You've already had Leon Black. We know he's so knee deep in this.
right.
You got John Paulson, who's been throwing millions of dollars at different Congress people.
Yep.
He's knee deep in it. The latest name is Tom Barrack. You may remember he was like the head of the inauguration committee, which is basically the embezzlement committee from the first
Yes.
inauguration. He's currently the ambassador to Turkey.
Right.
So he got caught with going back and forth with Epstein, joking about sending pictures of little girls, right? So like
Yeah.
he's now knee deep in this. Like you just don't you don't get around shit like that when you're palling around with Epstein, right?
Right. Right. It's just not funny. It's ridiculous. And the Trump emails to Epstein, or Epstein writes about Trump. He's been to my house many times, and he definitely didn't get a massage. What does that mean? As early as 2009, we now know that Donald Trump witnessed young girls frolicking in the swimming pool at Epstein's home, and they were said to be in a mentorship program.
And we're
Um,
supposed to believe Trump wasn't involved. He was
right.
just an observer.
Just an observer, just took a peek
But
and
he
then
also
left.
he got you caught in a bold faced lie because what was he doing having Thanksgiving dinner with Epstein in like 2017 during his first term?
Right.
So he said he had cut ties a decade before. So like he just got caught in he's a pathological liar, so we don't
Right.
expect anything better from him. But this
Right.
is the sort of information that has to at least shake the core beliefs of a portion of MAGA, right?
Yeah.
They have to be. I know, look, I don't think we have a high IQ quotient throughout rank and file MAGA. But when it comes to stuff like this, which is such base level human behavior,
Correct.
that they have to start questioning whether Trump has told them the real story here.
Right.
Don't they?
You would think, right?
Okay.
I mean, we got 23,000 documents that hit the House floor, right? All these documents, when we go through them, we are going to be absolutely disgusted by them, because no one in their right mind thinks that pedophilia is acceptable. And the raping of young women, young girls. I don't care if they pretended to be of age. No grown man should be finding that attractive. Now, it's always the cover up, Brock. It's always the cover up. And we are now learning, that this fallout, of course, between Trump and Epstein over this real estate deal gone bad. Epstein writes that Trump had no money and was still able to finagle a house away from Epstein that he wanted. And then a short time later, sold it for 3x what he paid for it to some Russian oligarch. So let's talk about, the improprieties there, right? I mean, how do you have no money? All of a sudden you're buying a mansion, right? And in some of the most expensive property in the world, definitely in America, and you're selling it for 3x a short time later to a Russian oligarch, but you've got no ties to Russia. Russia, right? It's all the Russia hoax. Yeah, it ain't a hoax, fella. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So there's so many layers to the Epstein files, Brock, and that's why I said that I believe the Epstein files have to be the end of this regime.
So do you believe the stories that there's now like 100, Republicans in the Congress that have now wavered and are likely to vote for, what are they calling it, this discourse petition to release the files, that there's 100 of them now out of the, the 230?
Yeah.
We thought it was only 3 or 4, that it's now tipped that far, that fast?
Well, here's the problem, Brock. This vote is going to be a stain on your record from now on.
I know why they might have flipped. They all watched the elections 2 weeks ago.
Yes, they did.
They see the polling of 80% of Republicans want the files out. So, A, they may be worried about being primaried, but B, I mean, the winds have shifted very, very quickly here.
Very quickly. And now they understand how upset America is. And then did you see that little provision that they slipped into the bill for each of these senators who were investigated around J6 to get $1 million payout or a $500,000 payout?
I think it's $1 million each. I think it's $1 million. I know Marsha Blackburn's right in the middle of that, saying she's going to take her $1 million, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're seeing that Trump, in fact, Jack Smith has released a document showing that he found proof that Trump paid for a lot of the travel of these hooligans that came and destroyed the Capitol on January 6th. Brock, there's so many layers to what's going on right now in Washington, D.C. I mean, if you see Trump lately, he looks haggard. We saw him fall asleep just the other day. He looks haggard. He looks worn. As details continue to creep out. What did we just hear? Investigators from the SDNY have interviewed more than 100 victims of the Epstein, international sex trafficking ring. I mean, look, this makes Pizzagate.
They're out there. There's hundreds of them, and they're emboldened now because they finally feel like they have the support of America versus being, ridiculed, shouted down, threatened, and the like, right? And there's strength in numbers. Right. So when, now they reach the tipping point, so many of them have come forward that I think it's made it easier and almost, in some cases, an obligation for others to feel like they need to come forward to support the ones in front of them. So that's like a positive cycle that's moving in terms of the disclosure, right? Like it's a deluge. But I'm really, I mean, if there's 100 MAGAs who are going to vote for this, that just means Trump's lost control of the party. Because once he loses control of this, then what's the next topic that they'll buck him on? Because then they'll start realizing that there's strength in numbers. And Trump can't mean tweet about 100 of them and threaten 100 of them, right?
Yep.
It becomes a tidal wave of dissent. And
Yep.
I mean, this is how regimes, fall. This is even how, you know, I mean, how do even autocracies crumble, right? They crumble from within. It's when support peels away. And
Yes, sir.
maybe it's wishful thinking on our part, but there's definitely seeing you're definitely seeing the cracks, right?
Right. Cracks in the fisher. So we've got Marjorie Taylor Greene excommunicated, right? We've got Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace being threatened by Donald Trump in a phone call that apparently took place. And now the Trump regime is scared to death that they may have recorded the call. So if they've recorded that call and it comes out, yeah, I mean, you talk about cracks. We are seeing major
Yeah, I thought
fallout
we
within
talked about
MAGA.
yesterday. I thought they hauled Bobert into a skiff, so you had to leave your cell phone outside and kind of shook her down in the secure, in the situation room. But yeah, I hadn't heard that part that the call made. Yeah, I mean, hey, as Rathersburg taught us down in Georgia, right?
Yep.
You tape every call that Donald Trump's on because he's
Oh
going
my
to lie
God.
about it.
Yes.
So. All the way back to the
CIA.
Zelensky phone call that got him impeached the first time, you
Yep.
realize that you had to have a transcript or a recording of everything Trump said
Yes.
because he would lie about it after the fact.
Yeah. Who's not hitting, play and record when Trump calls? I'm not doing anything until my recorder's working. And this guy, because he's gonna lie, cheat, steal, do what he ever asked to do to save his own ass. So you should always be in CYA mode when dealing with this clown. Um, but nonetheless, you just have to wonder why he's taking on, this political, tidal wave, while he's rowing a rowboat, right? You can't withstand what's going on to try to protect, these files from coming out. It makes no sense.
Well, he has to fight this battle.
He's got
This
to.
is the only one he can't lose. Like he has to fight this to the death
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this is the end of him.
Yeah.
So it may be a rowboat he's in, but he does have the levers of power of the American government. So we have to watch out for how corruptly he's going to use it and how he might, certain intimidation may get somewhat violent. But yeah, I don't know how you stem the tide in 100 if it's 100. If it's 100
Right.
people, I mean, you can intimidate a handful of them. There's no way they're gonna be able to stand up against 100. That shit's
Right.
going to the floor, and once it goes to the floor, how do you stop the momentum of it continuing forward? That's going to be the trick. Like
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on in these MAGA meetings of what the strategy is.
I mean, what can the strategy be? What can you say when it comes to protecting pedophiles? Like what's the plus in keeping the Epstein files? I mean, come on, Brock, let's whiteboard this.
They're gonna have to say Epstein made it up, right? They're gonna have to say it was a blackmail scheme by Epstein
Yep.
to control Trump, and everything that's in there is fake and is just, he
Yeah.
set him up. He tried to set him up, but he was
Drugged
never
them.
able to pin him down. I mean, that's what they're at some point. We're seeing so many emails, and we're going to see so much footage, documentation, and stuff of Trump embedded in with Epstein. Trump's
Right.
going to have to say it was an attempt to take him down.
Blackmailing. Yeah. But look, Epstein is writing in the same breath that he knows dude has no money. Because at this point, Trump's got no dough. Right? And we know he had no dough. Right? Everything he did was smoke and mirrors. And he wasn't doing anything prior to The Apprentice. Right? I mean, none of his real estate deals were working. Right? He was just
Yeah.
squandering money and squandering money.
Everything was in decline.
Yeah. So, that ain't gonna fly. Right? I mean, if you really want to get down to brass tacks, that argument will not fly. So where do they go? Where do Republicans go next to say, you know, this is what, national security, that we're not going to share what's in the Epstein files? It's already been internationally, an international scandal. It cost, the prince his title and his royal residence and all the other, you know, trappings of wealth that come with the royal name tag.
I mean, I guess they could slap classified on it and say that it can't be seen and it has to go to a secure location because um, Epstein was like involved in international espionage and it would give up methods and what do they call it? Methods and people that out there in the field and for the good of American security. Yeah, I think you hit on it. Maybe that they're going to do some sort of national security play.
Oh, I
I mean, it's bullshit, but
yeah, yeah.
they got it. They're trying something. Trump ain't rolling over. He's going to fight this to his death.
Brock, I really feel like if that were the case, if they were to slap a classified tag on this, I think MAGA would absolutely blow its stack. Absolutely blow its stack. Because they've been wanting these Epstein files. This was a campaign promise, remember?
Yeah.
This was a campaign promise.
Guys like Cash Patel and Bongino and these guys when they were podcasting, like
Oh,
this was their number one topic, right? This is what
yes.
they got everyone riled up on.
Yep.
Mark, I don't know. It's life or death for Trump. They're fighting for power, so they're gonna pull out all the stops.
Right.
I don't think they're smart enough to pull it off, but they just might brute force their way through it and just tell everyone to shut the fuck up and send more troops out on the streets and, get us into more wars all over the globe and bombing people and try to turn America into an afraid nation that's more focused on its survival than the, you know,
Mm.
demonic nature of their leader.
Yeah. Brock, it's funny too because we used to be the country that, we wanted other countries to aspire to. We wanted other countries to aspire to democracy, aspire to free speech, aspire to free and fair elections. And now we don't want them. We've got a huge swath of our population that doesn't want them. We used to go around to other countries saying this is how you run a free and fair election. And now we're saying as Americans, we don't want a certain swath of our population to vote, to
Yeah,
have a
because
voice.
the people that are saying that are worried about losing their stature, their social stature in American society. So they've decided they'd rather be able to be racist and sit on top of the others versus having a democracy where everyone one man one vote and everyone has a say because they might not like what that say ultimately shakes out, which is perhaps a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial society that's built on more fairness and
Yep,
equality. And why do you want that when you have advantage? And
exactly.
so maybe they'll overlook the Epstein files
Hmm.
because their racism trumps their concerns.
Bro,
And
this is the
would that
thing.
surprise you?
No, yes,
Okay.
it would.
It would. Okay.
Yes, it would. That would shock me because this is what they live. They live with these conspiracy theories. They still want the Clintons investigated. They still want to know who Hillary and Bill killed and, where the pedophiles are. They still think that, the liberal elites have something to hide and that one thing to hide is their sick obsession with young girls,
Okay.
and they need to nail them on it. Hey, hey, look, I'm just calling it like I said. I'm calling balls and strikes, baby.
Okay.
I'm calling it like I see it. And I don't think they can let this obsession go.
I
Right?
think they'll let it go. I think the racism will outweigh their excitement
Yeah.
about, getting to the bottom of, who's behind the conspiracies of the pedophile rings that are running the world. I think in the end, they'll go back to their base neighborhoody thing, which is like, I want to be on top of that person. And that, Trump and his team is going to double down on the racism in America and the xenophobia. And oh,
Mm,
by the way, the increasing anti Semitism on the right, Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson palling up.
ugh.
And they'll play to the worst of all of us. I think that might be the way out for them, the sad reality of the way out. You think not. We're going to see because we're definitely going to get an answer.
Yeah. It got to. But wow, 100 Congress people. That's interesting. That is interesting. All right, let's talk a little bit about our friends on the left, or not so much. Let's talk about where we go now in terms of fresh, new leadership.
Okay,
First,
let me ask the question to you. Did
go.
Cory Booker throw down the gauntlet at the feet of Chuck Schumer by putting out a statement that the Democrats need new leadership? I mean, who's he talking about? Kamala?
Right.
Like, who else could he possibly have been talking about if not Schumer and or Hakeem Jeffries? Being that he's a senator, you would think that he would be referring to Schumer, but he didn't directly mention Schumer. What
Right.
was your take on that?
So, my take is it's obvious, right? So he's trying to be politically correct and trying to send a message without calling people out and without seeming boorish about it.
Because he's such a nice guy. Because Cory Booker's a nice guy.
Good dude. He's a good dude. Um, he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. He's got a long, history and relationship with Schumer. They work together on a lot of things, but Cory is just like the rest of us. He's seen what it is. He's also a black man in America, and he understands that black people under, I mean, immense pressure right now. And he feels it. He's in the community. He understands that. He hears it all the time. And if you think he doesn't, just take a look at his feed. Take a look at what people are saying to him, right? They want to know what he can do for Black America, right? Remember the passionate plea he gave, or dress down he gave Brett Kavanaugh when they were in
Yeah.
the Supreme Court nominee process. He and Kamala had teamed up, to get to the bottom of what's going. I mean, Brock, we even hear about the fact that they're trying to make, interracial marriage illegal, right? Like, I mean, black folks can't win, right? And we need somebody to fight for us. Cory now understands that it ain't gonna be Chuck Schumer, right? And Cory now understands that the party looks like it did last Tuesday, right? We got Gavin Newsom on the West Coast. We got the governors of Virginia and New Jersey on the East Coast, right? We got Mondani in a big city, right? He now understands that you have to understand your environment and run candidates that can win in that environment, not just candidates that can raise money and bring in, the big names.
So who in the Senate's going to come out and just say Schumer's name directly and directly say he needs to go and or demand a new vote for minority leader? Like,
It,
who's really is Schiff gonna say it? Does he feel that way? Like, who else feels that way? Elizabeth Warren probably does.
yep,
Has she said it? We know where Bernie stands, right?
right.
Do they think they don't have the votes? Do they think that the Senate is such like a cordial, sleepy place that the other senators don't care? The Mark Warners, the fucking Dick Durbins, like, does Schumer still have the majority support of the, what is it, 46 Democratic senators?
You know,
I
that's
mean, are they that insulated from the rank and file of their own party?
yeah. I can't imagine they are. I can't imagine it, especially after the Bernie AOC tour. I know they all sat back and watched that, and sat back and watched the crowds that showed up, right, city after city. They didn't have a clunker in the bunch. So when you put the old white guy with the young Latina, and you're filling up, arenas and stadiums and parks with tens of thousands of people. Remember those crowds, Brock?
It was huge.
I mean, it
It
was
was like,
huge.
I mean, I
There's no
just feel like
way.
it's a little bit soft. I mean, you started this whole discussion today with the, like, like, existential threat, right? Existential times. Like, these are different times where the old cord, handshakes, pat on the shoulders, we're all
Doesn't
buddy
work anymore.
buddy, protocol, courtesy, and all that stuff kind of needs to take a back seat. I saw someone kind of tweet something about, like, we don't need peacetime generals, right? We need wartime generals.
Exactly.
And
They're right.
Schumer's a peacetime general. So I'm just
Yep.
waiting for, okay, that was a domino. I'm waiting for more dominoes to fall. Maybe Booker was just he was getting out first and maybe not the most fiery, but I want to see some other behind him saying, I agree with Corey and I think we
Right.
should vote again on leadership. I want
Right.
someone to start talking about a vote, because that'll put Schumer's feet to the fire. He'll either have to resign or agree
Right.
to a
Right.
vote. He can't just, play some sort of, like,
Yeah. You can't play.
rules and norms and all
Dumber.
that shit and say, I deserve this seat.
Yeah. All right. Give me a quick hit before we get out of here.
Okay, I got two.
All right.
Number
Hit me.
one, what's Megyn Kelly doing?
Meg, stirring shit up,
But
trying to
why?
piss people
Why
off.
is she? Why? What is she getting out of? And why? Not that she has some sort of credibility brand, but why is she trying to argue between the difference between, like, a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old when it comes to pedophilia
That's
and sex
stupid.
rings and Epstein and she's trying to parse out there, like, what are we in Afghanistan with
Yeah.
child? Like, why is she taking that stance to defend Epstein slash Trump as if the rape of 14 and 15-year-olds, quote, isn't as bad as if it was like 5 and 6-year-olds? What's
Because there's nothing she won't say, or do for attention. Why can't she just float off into the abyss and leave the rest of the world alone? I mean, lady, you tried to defend blackface on a national network. I mean, you're a moron. You have no business in polite society. And now you sound even more ridiculous trying to parse, what the line is for pedophilia. I mean, that is just disgusting.
She has a
And
14-year-old daughter. I mean, it's really bizarre, because
yeah,
usually you would think even someone's personal life experience is going to shape their, you know,
right.
outlook on things.
Yeah,
And okay, so you think she's just clickbaiting and she's just taking a
that's it.
position, and it's,
Attention whore.
negative attention is better than no attention. So therefore, I'll just be idiotic and absurd here. And
Yeah,
look, even these two yahoos on Two Men in Black and White are talking about me. So she won
right.
because she was a part of
Because
my
we're
quick
talking
hits.
about.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Second one. John Fetterman. Fetterman fell
What, he tripped
down,
and
hit his
fall?
head today.
Ugh. He's still in the hospital?
Still, I believe he's still in the hospital.
Yeah.
Heart issue.
Fetterman is a real disappointment, man. Wish the best for him, in his health and everything, in his health journey. But, he really threw upset the apple cart with the party. We were all in for him, when push came to shove, when he needed to get elected, we went ham for him. And we got him in there, and then all of a sudden he flipped the script on us.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I root for, I want him to be healthy as the man. I'm disappointed in him as
Sure.
a politician. But I kind of think this fall may have been a lot worse than people talked about. Like, McConnell's fallen a lot recently, but the fact that he fell and like cut his face and this and that as he was walking kind of tells you what he couldn't even get his hands out
Oh,
to
yeah,
to break his fall, to the fact that his face hit the ground.
right. And
You
he's a
know,
big guy.
like, was that like a total passing out with just no? So I'm kind of thinking he might be in a worse shape than they're going to try to let on.
Yeah, it could be. We're gonna have to follow that one closely, because that's a problem. And then we got to get another vote in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him replaced. I think Shapiro would get to. But we know,
Yeah,
no matter how, going back to Feinstein in California, these people hold and Mitch, right? These people hold on
right.
to these jobs for dear life, right? Like
Yeah.
they're no one bows away gracefully.
Is
What
there
do
an
you got for,
easier job?
yeah, exactly. What do you got for me?
So you like pasta?
Absolutely, it's one of the few
Yeah,
things I
you're.
can cook for myself. In fact, I'm making
Yeah,
it tonight for dinner.
well, you might be having to forget about it real soon. Italian pasta may not be coming to the U.S. anymore because of those tariffs. Those tricky tariffs that are raising the $2,000 checks that we're all going to get from the Trumpster, from all the revenue raised from tariffs. They're talking about Italian pasta becoming so pricey that it may not be worth shipping it here anymore.
Oh, really?
How you
Barilla's
like
shutting down. They're not going to send it here.
how you like them apples? Where you know it, I mean, it's ridiculous. It could double the cost, bro. Pasta is one of those affordable staples, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, college time. How many times did you have spaghetti and meatballs,
Absolutely.
or
Yeah.
just plain spaghetti and
Because
sauce?
back then it was like 99 cents. Now it's more
Oh, you
like you
get a
get the
box,
buck 29, buck 49 a
right,
box. But like, you know, yeah, absolutely.
bro? I mean, and you were good. You get you
And
get a
of course,
bowl
we
of pasta,
can't afford meat or chicken with the beef
right,
prices, this and that. So you segue over to pastas and rices. Okay,
bro?
so we're gonna slap an additional tariff on
Yes.
Italy. We're mad at Italy, but I thought Trump
Well,
liked the premier of Italy because she was like a
well,
fiery young woman. She'll
no.
probably be able to schmooze him though.
Starting as early as January, U.S. tariff rates on imported pasta from 13 major companies, 13, could soar as high as 107%.
Why would we do that?
Good question, bro. Good question. Ask your fearless leader and Scott Besson. How'd that guy make $700 million, bro?
Oh, man.
I, I mean, that guy's a moron, and he's worth 700 million. Gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me.
You got me worried, Mark. I can only make three things: eggs, price going off the roof. I can make breakfast, pasta, and rice. I got three things I can make. You,
bro,
you price me out of pasta, and then
bro, you
it's gonna
better
be a
get
lot of
you a
rice.
George Foreman grill.
A lot of rice. No beef. I'm trying to eat less meat.
I hear you. All right, bro, that's it for us. Let's stay loud and proud. Let's rack it up and do it again tomorrow.
All right, Mark. Always a pleasure. I'll talk to you
All right, my
tomorrow.
friend. Sounds
Bye.
good. Peace.